having issues that we need to wait for?
Not yet.
Okay.
Sorry, who is on Mark Papish's screen? Because I know that's not Mark.
I don't know if that's mine. It might be me.
Yes, it is.
It's you,
Okay.
Sharon.
Okay. I have my computer up and my phone.
Okay,
And the computer's probably under Dr. Papish.
gotcha. Okay.
Well, it is almost as good as name tags there.
Almost.
Yeah, you get to see, put the name with the face. We'll give them 2 more minutes and then we'll get going. Give everybody a chance to get used to this technology. All right, it's been quiet for a while. Let's get going. I'm gonna call this to order.
Rich, hang on
Yes.
1 second. Just one matter of housekeeping. If you see me going like this, everybody stop talking, because that means I have an issue or a glitch or something on my end, okay?
Okay,
Thanks.
we have
Go
to
ahead.
pay attention to you. All right. All right. Welcome. This is a new experience for a lot of us. All right. The ground rules are keep your phone on mute. We'll have you on mute unless we have to do like a roll call, then we'll open it up. But wherever possible, keep yours phone on mute. And when you talk, please announce who you are so that the transcriber can get everything down. All right. So we'll start off with Nick.
Okay, roll call. Dutchess County, Nicholas Trio, present. Dave Violante,
Dave Violante here.
Joan Siebert. Is Joan here?
I saw her on before, so I don't know.
Okay. Tim Murphy,
Here.
Dee Sagendorf,
I'm present.
Guy Carpico, Tim Gilnack, Karen Frazier,
Here.
Michael Bigg, Orange Counties, Ben Conquest, Wayne Chan. Oh, wait, Ben, you're here? Okay, thank you. Wayne Chan. I thought I saw Wayne.
I'm here.
Who's
Wayne
Nice to
Chan's
meet you.
here.
Okay. David Grass,
I'm here.
Israel Knobloch, Kelly Peichel, Frank Kazanite, John Hanson. Okay, Putnam County, Robert Cuomo, David Jacobson, Denise Montana,
Here.
Matthew Bondi, Kim, would you please go on mute? Okay, let's try to keep going. Kim Lippis for Rockland. Nick Rusieski. Tim Egan.
Here.
Desiree Leone.
Here, and just Kim has been deployed. She just found out late last night and was flown out today, so she couldn't make it last minute.
Teresa Hamilton. Neil Dayan. BJ Leidner.
Here.
Okay, Sullivan County. Abby Bachman.
You didn't put my name down.
What's your name? Oh, yeah,
Glenn
Glenn.
Albert.
Okay. Hold on. Gotcha. Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, Sullivan County. Abby Bachman. Alex Rao. Neil Meadow.
I'm here.
Thank you, Neil. Heidi Stack. Mike Bruce. Mark Strauss. Ulster County. Richard Parrish.
Here.
Kelly Nelson. Dorothy Balin. Tim Mitchell.
Present.
Lisa Servino. Karen Pardini. Okay.
Here.
Oh, you're here, Karen? Okay, thank you. Okay, let me just count them up real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We have 17 people who are eligible to vote, 13 for a quorum, so we are at quorum.
Okay.
Just FYI, you're missing Casey Quake from Putnam County.
Okay, thank you, Casey. I don't see you on the list though.
I don't know. I was told to join.
Okay, well,
Right.
welcome.
Okay, the minutes were distributed. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? If not, motion's in order.
I'll make a motion. Tim Egan.
Tim Egan, second.
I'll second.
Okay, who was that?
Look like D Sagendorf.
Thank you.
All right. All right. President's report. It's been an interesting couple months. I'm sure you guys all had some interesting experiences, but you know, from where I've been at, it's been COVID all the way. But in the meantime, I had 2 requests from 2 agencies. One was from Marbletown First Aid. They're interested in researching course sponsorship. I gave them a copy of the classroom requirements and also the course administration manual. I offered to do a walkthrough, but because of COVID, they're holding off on outsiders in their building. Also have a request from Ellenville First Aid. They would like to host an EMT class, not become a course sponsor. Where they are, you know, it's kind of remote. I went down and I looked at it. The facility would be usable for a class. Now, for my program, I don't have the resources at this point to commit to being the CIC or CLIs for it. So if there's anybody out there that's interested in getting involved in that program, yeah, get back to me and I'll work with you to get something going down there. All right. Have been participating in the weekly EMS leadership meetings, the conference calls, if you have an opportunity to sit in on them. I don't think you'd have to rush to do them every week. They seem to rehash a lot of stuff, but you know, once in a while they're interesting. Same thing with the course sponsors. And I'd really like to put a big thank you out to both Dave Violante and Mike Benanati and Scott Wopsey and that crew for putting together the EMS task force. I think it pulled a lot of people together to look at some potential issues. They looked at what would have to happen if we had to evacuate hospitals or anything like that. Brought up the issue about looking at nursing homes, and nursing homes has been the big thorn in our side right now. So paying attention to that. Did a quick overview for them of what the MACE team is, what e-fines are, and then how the hospitals use a different tagging system than the smart triage tags. But I think that they brought a lot of people together, even from the police and fire side. It was a great resource. I think they accomplished a lot. Hopefully we'll continue it at least monthly to keep this thing going. A lot of good things came out of it. Hopefully it doesn't fade away. All right, working with Bill from office from home, the staff has been doing a good job keeping things moving. Hopefully everybody's had any dealings with them has been on the positive side. Everything I've done with them has been very good. I like what happened. All right. So pretty much that's where I'm at, what I've been doing. Again, dealing with COVID, my full-time job has been a full-time job also. So basically that's it for now. I got some other things that I could bring up later. Hopefully each committee will bring up their report. All right, any questions? If not, Denise, Treasurer's report.
Yeah, so the report that I'm presenting is from February 19th until today. We wrote out 28 checks totaling $18,092.29. Rent and health insurance were our top expenses. I did 2 transfers for payroll each.
I lost you, Denise.
Okay.
You did two what?
2 payroll transfers, each in the amount of $35,000. The first one on March 4th and the second one on May 11th. There were no deposits made during this period. Under the New York State vouchers, we received $65,928.39 for the second quarter reimbursement for the program agency, $5,288.66 for the third quarter reimbursement for council, and a total of $48,524.68 for the third quarter reimbursement for program agency and the fourth quarter reimbursement for council. During this quarter, there was no activity in conference or education. And the account balances as of 5/19/20. In the program agency, we have $143,016.97. In conference and education, we have $48,757.27. And in payroll, we have a total of $35,475.23, with a total of $227,249.47. If anybody is interested in getting any copies of anything or details, you can either call myself or Bill, and we can, get you anything that you need. That's it. That's all I have.
All right, any questions of the treasurer? At the executive committee meeting, we talked about the treasurer and getting a way to pay bills electronically. And Denise is going to investigate if there's ways that we can do that. And that way, Bill's not running up and down the thruway getting signatures. So hopefully we'll see some reactions to that. All right. Regional report there, Bill.
Okay. First and foremost, I'd like to thank all the EMS providers in the Hudson Valley for their exemplary service during this pandemic and for their bravery, their fortitude, and their professionalism during the battle on the front lines against COVID-19. It's been a great job for everybody. Unfortunately, we have had some losses as a result of it. I too would like to thank the members and participants of the Mid-Hudson Valley EMS Task Force. They spent a lot of time and a lot of effort ensuring the region was aware and prepared to for all the emerging situations that we incurred during this process. And particularly, I'd like to thank David Violante, who spearheaded the task force, and Michael Beninati, who's the co-chair of it. And since March, since mid-March, we started it, and meetings were daily when we first started.
Hold on, Bill.
Bill,
Yeah.
I'm getting feedback. Somebody's either got a radio or something on. I'm getting like that staticky feedback, just so you
Okay.
know.
Mhm.
If you're not talking, you can mute yourself.
Go ahead, Bill.
Okay. At the beginning, when we first started the task force, we were meeting daily, and then as the need subsided a little bit and we got a little bit more organized, we started meeting twice a week. I'm going to let Dave Violante talk about that and some of the accomplishments that we had, some of the things that we really we got done with the task force. It was a great group of people, and there was a lot of work done there. I'd also like to remind everybody about Director Greenberg's nominations for EMS team and provider recognition for EMS week. I sent it out to everybody. If you haven't gotten it, it's a special recognition for people that have performed well, excellent during this whole process. And it can be put in by a region, it can be put in by an agency, it can be put in for a team, it could be put in for a person. It's available online. You fill out the form and just submit it. They would like to only have one form per agency. So if you have somebody in your agency that did a really good job and you want to get some recognition for them, please forward that. At this point in time, they have 70 of them. They're going to continue until the end of the week, the end of EMS week, and then do whatever they're going to do with them. Okay, so if you have somebody that really deserves some recognition, please put their name in and let them be recognized. We have been working remotely, and we've been pretty busy in the office. We're doing all kinds of things. We're trying to send out a lot of information. We've been working on protocols. We've been resending protocols. We've been looking at guidance documents and, answering all kinds of questions, and just a lot of stuff happening in general. But I do have a few things that I'd just like to pass on to everybody, and that will help us move on into the future a little bit. All agencies should have 2 people authorized to sign into HCS. HCS is the health commerce system that's supported by the Bureau of EMS. It allows us to look up people for the certifications. It allows me to transfer confidential information to the Bureau, and it will allow you guys to do more stuff. And the Bureau will start communicating to agencies via the health commerce system. So either Jeff or myself can sign you up for it. You have to go to Health Commerce, get a sign-on, send us that sign-on, a copy of your license, and a letter from your organization that says that you can be the HCS coordinator for your organization. We do that, we can process everything for you at that point. So everybody should be doing that. The HVREMSCO contract, we have a 5-year contract that comes due at the that is ended at the end of June. That contract will be extended for 27 months. And the program agency contract, which is the other contract that we have, that will be extended for 24 months, giving both of them a ending date that coincides. Right now, they're a quarter between them. And it really causes confusion when you start talking about financially and which quarter you're in and where the money is. So this way they'll end at the same time, but it's basically a 2-year extension on both contracts. We've also been attending 3 meetings a week with the Bureau of EMS. On Tuesday, we attend a program agency COVID meeting. On Wednesday, we attend the EMS leadership meeting. And on Thursday, we have the course sponsorship meeting. And then every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, the staff and I get together. We have a conference call in the morning. Rich is there sometimes, and we discuss what our plans are, what we have to do over the next couple of days. So we're working fairly well from home. It seems to be doing pretty good. due to working at home, it has created some issues on the finance department in getting checks signed and getting paperwork out. But I've been working with Denise, and we have some ACH stuff that's been going out where we automatically pay some of the bills that way, and some of them we put on credit cards. But we are going to try to work out another.
Hold on, Bill.
Yeah.
Whoever got a radio on in the background, you need to turn it off.
Either that or just mute it. Mute your mic.
Go ahead, Bill.
Okay. Just so you know, the National Ambulance contract in New York City, the providers down there are using paper PCRs, and a lot of the program agencies have been recruited to key those paper PCRs into the electronic system so that they can follow the transactions and find hotspots that they have to go to and different information from what's happening with the National Ambulance services that are down there. They, at one point, at the maximum point, they had 350 ambulances in New York City. Right now, they're down to 160, and they should all be gone by the end of this week. I think it's 10 days from Tuesday. So by middle of next week, the New York City should be back on regular ambulance service without anybody from the outside helping them. So Jeff has been diligently keying in PCRs from New York City to help them with that, along with probably 12 or 15 other program agencies. We've been conducting all of our regular meetings electronically. Our training committee meeting we've had electronically. Protocol we've had electronically. The staff meetings are electronically. Task force was done electronically. The executive committee before this was done electronically, and now we're doing this one electronically. So we will continue to do that. We have the authority to do that by an executive law. That executive law expires on June 7th. If it's renewed, we can continue. If it's not, then we'll have to look at something else for September. We'll have to see what things come about in the September. Just as a point of information, I don't know if anybody was aware that Legoland was supposed to open up July 4th of this year. I spoke with their administration a couple of days ago, and they said that they are not opening this year, that they're postponing it to next year, but they do not have the date as of yet. So that for Orange County, that was going to be a lot of activity. So we're going to have to see what happens with that one coming up. They actually stopped working on it, so they haven't finished it as of yet. Just want to make sure all agencies be aware and be prepared for a second wave if it does come. Make sure that you have your equipment in place, you have your PPE available. Don't drop your guard at this point. Make sure you maintain everything. Make sure you do your decontamination. Make sure your people are protected. Make sure their mental health is stable. There's a lot of things going on that can affect a lot of people. So just be aware, be alert, watch what's going on, and react. If you need help with anything, let us know. Also be aware of the pediatric multi-system inflammation syndrome, which is what we're experiencing now throughout the state. There's been multiple deaths. I'm not sure if it's 4 or 5 that are there, of younger people that are suffering from this disease that is a result of COVID that we thought wasn't going to affect our smaller population. So let's just be aware of that. The EMS Tree of Life Memorial was postponed. It was supposed to be yesterday. It will occur in a future date, but just to keep with making sure everything, all the EMS providers that have died in line of duty are remembered. Director Greenberg, Assistant Director or Deputy Director Steve Durs, and Dr. Zucker, the Commissioner of Health, placed a wreath on the Tree of Life Memorial yesterday morning in memory. And the only other business that I have is we might have a possible upgrade request from ambulance to upgrade to an ALS service. They talked to me on Friday and they were looking to do that, but I have not gotten any paperwork on it since then. So we're still waiting to see. But they do have a certificate. They bought the certificate from TransCare, and they are looking at making that certificate an ALS certificate. And that's the end of my report.
Any questions of Bill? Okay. If not, thanks, Bill. QA/QI report.
Okay, I'm going to start kind of backwards. Bill gave me a request this morning regarding Narcan usage. To date, from 1 January to today, we've had 529 opioid overdoses. Compared to the same time frame in 2019, it was 335. That represents about 50 more per month. Not significant. It really kind of falls in line with previous years. I know other areas have seen an upsurge with Narcan usage in the last month. We're not really seeing that here and now yet, but we probably will as the weather gets warmer, regardless of anything else that's happening. The schematron changed in early April to reflect changes for tracking COVID-19. A little late in the game to really do us a serious amount of good. What I had created previous to that was a all-inclusive report from 1 January until the end of April, which represented approximately 45,000 calls. Basically going back through those to see when we started to have a cluster of COVID-type calls. Still working on kind of filtering that down to see if we can set something up that would trigger a notification to us when we see that again, or when we see flu-like symptoms, or anything else that would possibly be recognized as a pandemic. The first time through that report, it was about 20 hours to break everything out. And I did forward that report to the Dutchess County Task Force and broke out what, Dave, I think a half a dozen different areas of dispositions, whether it was a RMA, a cardiac arrest, how the cardiac arrest was terminated. So a fair amount of work to do that, but it's like anything else. It's the first time that it's going to be the longest and the most tedious. We can continue that type of reporting and that type of comparison month by month at this point. It won't take that much time. New York State is going to be releasing a new schematron. The date is, per Peter Brody, sometime before the end of the year. And it's going to include questions for BLS-FR agencies. It's going to represent an additional, what he said, 200 some questions. We already know that when vendors get presented with this, that we have issues. So we can probably anticipate some issues when that schematron gets released. And we do also still have some vendors that aren't able to push data. One large vendor, Creative, is still not pushing good data for us. I know that they're having issues with New York City, and that's apparently going to be their priority. But at some point in time, they're going to have to fix the agencies that use them in the Hudson Valley. And that's really the synopsis for the past couple of months. It's been busy.
Any questions of Jeff? Thanks, Jeff. All right. Committee reports. Training. Go for it, Dave.
We have no training. That is actually not very true at all. There's been a lot going on. I'm going to try and share the screen. Nope, that is not going to work. Okay, we'll do it another way here. But I do want to first thank everybody, say happy EMS week to everyone. We've been under a lot of stress and pressure and doing all kinds of work. I think it's great. Everyone's doing a super fantastic job. So certainly much thanks to all of our EMS personnel, to the leadership of the agencies. A huge shout out to our medical directors who have been dealing with us on the protocol committee and these other committees, and all these sort of seemingly weekly changes that come out of policy changes from anybody. And of course to the region. The region has really stepped up in all of this and done a huge amount of work, and I just wanted to give a shout out to those folks because they're really doing a lot for a lot of these different committees and meetings and things going on. So to that end, first I will talk quickly about the task force here. In Dutchess County, Commissioner Dana Smith requested that a number of us sort of get together to discuss what some of the major issues were that we thought we were going to see and how we may be able to mitigate them. That expanded out from the EMS coordinator, fire coordinator, and dispatch personnel, some major agencies and commercial agencies and municipalities of Dutchess County to include Ulster County, Orange County, and then all of the other counties, Sullivan, Rockland, Putnam. And so we ended up having twice a week meetings with all of the county EMS coordinators, some fire coordinators, dispatch agencies, all of the commercial services, and major municipalities, and came out with some issues that we were all sort of facing and how we could mitigate them at a regional level. The first thing that came up was a hospital surge decompression planning document, whereby all of the counties were able to come together and have resources ready, EMS resources ready at any moment's notice, on standby for 48 hours in advance for BLS and ALS services should a hospital need to decompress. We put together a multi-page document that everybody agreed on. We sent out from the region to all of the hospitals and talked with hospital administration so that we would be prepared should they need to decompress. That worked out amazingly well. We didn't need to institute that, and it's great though that we have it and we can use it in the future. It was getting pretty close there. After that happened, we thought we may need to have to use it with some of our skilled nursing facilities. And so the other issues that we ended up talking about were related to PPE, some other of the general EMS issues that every county was facing. We did a lot of discussion about planning for when we're going to begin to reopen and potential civil unrest scenarios. Every county was able to report their statistics on COVID cases, EMS agency readiness, planning, and logistics that they had, and then we were able to bounce ideas off each other. That went on twice a week for a pretty good amount of time. We just moved that down to once every 2 weeks, and probably after things start opening up here and we see how things play out, we may end up meeting once a month, and then probably once a quarter after that, just so that we have those good open lines of communication amongst all of us. So that was the task force that started and in Dutchess County and sort of spread out to the region and got everybody involved. And it was a really good group. It still is a great group, and we continue to do a lot of good work. And so there's a huge amount of thanks to everybody on that committee that has done a tremendous amount of work and planning, and it really shows their dedication to EMS in all of our communities region-wide. Any questions on the task force before I move on? Okay, great.
Dave, just raise your voice for me a little if you don't mind.
Yeah, so my wife already said that I'm using my teacher voice, and she's on the other end of the house doing some other work, so I'll do the best I can here.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so I won't be able to share my screen, but what I will do is create a PDF of this document that I'm going to sort of reference, and I will send that out to everybody tomorrow when I get back into the office, so you have the information that's contained in this. So people don't have to worry about email addresses or scribbling notes or things like that. I'll send this out. When Bill was talking about the Leadership Program Agency and educational conference calls, there were a lot of Bureau of EMS staff on those weekly calls, from Director Greenberg, Deputy Chief Gene Taylor, Unit Chief Gene Myers, Unit Chief Liz Donnelly, Unit Chief John McMillan, and Program Coordinator Valerie Osga. And they talked about a variety of the issues that were coming out of the state. Things have obviously been very fluid. You've all been a very big part of that. Please know that a lot of us have been working on the sidelines, behind the scenes and in front of the scenes, to try and make everything as smooth as possible, disseminate information as easily as possible, and get things back to the state as well. And to that end, for a number of regions or counties that have had some issues, the region has definitely had the ability to reach out through that chain of command to make sure that some of the resources are out there for the different agencies and for the different counties. So again, kudos to them for that. All right, so let's talk about some education things down the line here. Computer-based testing is pretty much going to be the only option until further notice. This is all from John McMillan. And so that's where it's going to stand. If you have any questions about computer-based testing, please check with your course sponsors. Have your students check with their course sponsors. They know who those folks are and what they need to do. The course sponsors should know this information and have this information. If anybody does not, that's a student, know this information or have this information, and their course sponsors aren't sure, have them please reach out to the regional office and or to me. And so that we can get that straightened out. The folks, there's a lot of good information out there on that. That's A. B, Vital Signs Academy is operational. For those of you who are not sure about that, the state has a website, vitalsignsacademy.com. And there's a calendar on there, and what they have been doing are BLS.
What was that?
That was great. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. That was not one of the things on Vital Signs Academy, but I'm sure in the future it could very well be. In any event, if you go to vitalsignsacademy.com, they have presentations. BLS presentations are on Tuesdays. ALS presentations are on Thursdays. These are a combination of core, non-core, and CIUs that are up there. At the moment, a lot of these are live presentations, but some of them are recorded, and some of the recorded ones will be up there to view later. These are being taught by CICs, and so they will count towards core and non-core materials for all of your refreshers and your CME-based refresher programs. So vitalsignsacademy.com. They are looking for educators to do classes. They need some other ones to step up. So if anybody is interested, please contact John McMillan at the state. Again, when I send out this information, you'll have his contact information. Okay. Gene Myers from the state relates that if a student has completed a course and has not received notice from PSI, which is the testing agency, they should email PSI and contact the state and try and work that out so that they can get their letters from PSI and be able to be active in the system. From Liz Donnelly at the state, CIC candidates that are in internships should contact her directly about extensions for completing their internships. They want people to finish as soon as possible. But if you haven't been doing anything for the past 15 or 16 months, you're not going to be doing anything for the next 15 or 16 months. You definitely have to be have to have most of your stuff done for them to try and move you through the system a little bit easier. The information for computer-based testing that Jean was talking about is in this document. I will send that out. It will make sense when I send it to you. Every current provider has received a 1-year extension on their certification. There's no need to do anything. The state has done this. You will eventually get a new card. Nobody is in the office, so they can't put them together and mail them out. But agencies can confirm through the health commerce system whether someone has an expiration date that's sooner or later, and what if someone actually is certified through the state. Everybody is, of course, eligible for renewal through the CME program. Remember that you do have to submit that at least 45 days in advance.
Dave?
One of the things that they are saying is that for your recertifications, since you have the year extension, they're working on a system to be able to take your current CME recert, if you have already submitted it, and still add the year so that you don't have to wait within that 8-month window before you submit your recertification. More will come out with that, but at the moment, everybody's certifications are extended by 1 year.
Dave, Nick Trio, I have a question. There seems to be some confusion. A lot of our people seem to think that it's only people whose certifications expired this year were extended 1 year. Now, I expired in 2022. Am I now extended to 2023?
As I understand it, yes.
Okay,
and
thank
so, sure. So that's one of the reasons why this information is great to be disseminated from the state to here and from here to the agencies so that we clear up any of those issues. If there are any questions, have the agency go to the health commerce system, look up the individual, you will see their new expiration date. There were a number of providers who applied for provisional certification whose certifications had previously lapsed, and they were able to go to the state, submit an application, and on a quick background check, have their certification reinstated. About a little bit more than 2,000 providers did this. All of their expiration dates for those people who were reinstated is 12/31 of this year. People can do the CME recertification. Again, has to be submitted at least 45 days in advance of the expiration. So it is possible for those folks to continue with their provisional recertification onto just regular recertification or certification. Additionally, the REMAC, Hudson Valley REMAC, has also extended their ALS Medical Advisory Committee cards to correspond to the New York State cards. And they have also suspended requirements for medical control hours, I believe through the end of the year. Is that correct, Bill?
Yes, they will recertify up until the end of the year. Then they'll have to start with the regular system, regular amount.
Great, thank you. For anybody with AHA cards, the AHA has extended certification of cards that expired in March and April, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dave Grass. I think it was 180 days on that. It may be extended further though.
120 as of right now.
I'm sorry. Okay, yes, 120. I knew it was more than 90, but less than 200. I was shooting in the middle. Okay, so providers have those cards extended as well, and so that's all cards. Speaking about extensions from the state, we talked about current providers and their certifications being extended for 1 year. That includes EMRs, EMTs, paramedics, CLIs, and CICs. So if you have a card from the state in your wallet, it's extended by a year. Okay, Other things about education, course sponsors are encouraged to start new classes, and they can. There are a lot of different ways to deliver materials, many of which are very innovative, and a lot of our course sponsors are doing those things now. And probably a number of these are going to prevail in the future. So don't stop teaching the courses. Use this as an opportunity. A lot of these agencies or course sponsors, excuse me, are putting the didactic material up front and the rest of the material towards the end of the program, just to sort of see what pans out as things begin to open up. So there's a lot of neat and interesting things going on now in education. A lot of it's exciting stuff. And so let's see what sort of comes with that. There's a question that came up about doing the practical skills exam through Skype, and the answer from the
Sorry,
state.
Dave.
Yeah.
There was a question that came up about doing the practical what?
Practical skills exam
Thank you.
via Skype or some kind of medium like Zoom, Skype, etc. And the answer from the state was that they will most definitely look at the possibilities of those things happening and consider those options. That doesn't mean that your CME, that ends in another month or so and you need to do your skills exams and you can just jump on and do it. These things have to go through the state, they have to be authorized, etc. So again, check with course sponsors if there's any question, and they're working on all those things diligently now. I believe I have talked about almost all this stuff. Another shout out really to our medical director and our REMAC chair as they have navigated a ton of clinical changes as they've evolved, along with the protocol committee and the regional support in just making some of these sweeping changes that are out there, seemingly changing on a daily, sometimes weekly basis from a bunch of different agencies, and just rolling with it. So hang in there, folks. There's probably some more to come as things open up. Stay safe. Thanks to everybody, and I will most definitely take any questions anybody has.
Dave, it's Casey Quake. There's
Yes,
no
Casey.
restriction on conducting PSEs as long as we're following guidelines, correct?
Casey, you cut out on me on conducting what?
On conducting the PSEs, the practical skills exams, as long as we're doing social distancing, blah, 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 we're allowed to conduct those still, correct?
I would just like to know how you put in the minutes ba 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 ba. But as I understand it, Casey, please check in with the state to be sure that they know how you're doing what you're doing so that everyone is on the same page. I think if they're surprised by something, they may react to it negatively just because they're not sure of what's going on. So just follow up with them. But I believe that, yes, you should be able to continue to do some of the PSEs in a variety of ways, that being one of them.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
David, if I may?
Yes, please.
Dave Grass. Casey, just to answer your question, one of the things that came out from Gene Taylor was, as David said, they'd like for you to practice social distancing. So some of the things that they were suggesting to the course sponsors was no longer rotating multiple students through single stations, but to actually set up a patient, even if it's a simulated or a proctor, a simulated patient, and then keep the same group for all skills, which is kind of different from what we've always done in the past. But as David said, run whatever you're planning on doing past them, but they've been pretty willing to work with any sponsor out there to make sure that the students have the opportunity to complete on time.
Okay, yeah, we came up with a modification document and guidance for all of our agencies, and we're going to be moving 86 students through the PSE over the next 30 days or so. So we've sent it up. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't anything that I was saying in the recent past.
No, but as an example, if you run the PSE over multiple days, they want you to track the PSE over multiple days, but send one universal completion form. Don't send multiples.
Right. Yeah, we're doing 6 at a time. You know, we have 6 breakout rooms and so on and so forth. So, all right, thank you.
I think the biggest takeaway from all of this is for any agency or student to please reach out to your course sponsor. If there's any questions at the course sponsor level, please have them reach out to the region and to us. We'll resume the CIUs, the CLI, and the CIC classes as we can when we're able to do so with guidance from the state. We'll just move forward with those things. So if there's any questions at the agency level, please feel free to reach out to the region and they'll direct it appropriately. And that's the end of my report. Thank you, Rich.
Oh, thanks very much, Dave. And again, you've got to get your agencies on the HCS account. You can validate who's been extended, even though everybody has been, but you can go on there and print out a document, and that's how they're going to start sending information. So every agency needs to get the HCS account. Okay, thank you. Next up is REMAC there, Dr. Papish.
Hey everyone, happy EMS week. I don't have any major report. The only thing that I wanted to bring back to the agencies, if people could bring back to the agencies, is all
Dr.
EDs.
Papish,
Yeah.
you're dropping your voice on me. You're
Can you hear me
dropping your
now?
voice.
The only thing I was going to, I wanted people to bring back to their agencies is that ED volumes across the entire Hudson Valley region are currently down between 35 and 55% in all EDs. So there's ample capacity to evaluate patients. I know we had discussed the pandemic protocol in an advisory, but I would keep that in mind when thinking about enacting that and utilize medical control if you're unsure as to whether to transport or not transport somebody based on that. That's all I got.
Along those lines, Dr. Pash, at our facility, the people that we are seeing are a lot sicker because they have elected not to come into the facility, and now when they're coming in, they're pretty sick. Our acuity level has gone way up.
Yeah, I think that's true everywhere. It's really, I mean, besides not just the coronavirus, but the public perception of their mortality from the coronavirus has really caused more mortality. It's pretty interesting times.
Yep. Thank you. All right, protocol meeting, anything on that?
Not at this time. The next protocol meeting is going to be May 26th. We've looked at the cardiac arrest protocol again to take a look at it and see if we can make it flow a little smoother. And Mike Beninati has created a flow chart that makes it flow very smoothly. So we're going to look at that, see if that's something that we're going to distribute out. So that's really the only key thing that we have happening. The other thing is there is a REMAC meeting scheduled for June 1st.
Okay, and they're both going to go by Zoom?
Yes, yes. Actually, the protocol committee has been meeting by Zoom for almost a year now. It was a 2-hour meeting, and some people drove an hour and a half to a 2-hour meeting. So they spent 3 hours on the road to be in the office for 2 hours. But it seems to work very well for us as a committee to do it as a Zoom meeting. And that's really how we started using Zoom and has enhanced our skills with it.
Very good, thank you. All right, Glenn, transportation.
Really nothing to report other than that, you know, what you talked to Bill said about the ambulance thing, but we haven't gotten any paperwork on it. So once it does, I guess BJ and the boys and I will be meeting Zoom wise and see what we got.
Okay. Public information, Desiree. Desiree, you were there. All right. moving on. Policies and procedures, still looking for a chair for that, right? So we need to get you involved. Legislative and bylaws, Tim?
I wasn't prepared for a report for legislative and bylaws. I wasn't aware that Albie wasn't going to. This is Tim Egan.
Hang on, Tim Egan? Okay, I wasn't sure what Tim I was talking to. Thank you.
All right.
No problem. This is Tim Egan. Like I said, I wasn't prepared to give a report, but what I can tell you is that right after we were assured that supplements and crossovers and Medicaid payments in general were safe, Corona hit. And as everybody knows, the state budget deficit ballooned since then. And with what seems to be going to be a 30-day review every month, we're seriously concerned in the ambulance industry about this. At the onion level, we're very concerned about this and we're keeping a close eye on it, but there have been no legislative meetings other than, ad hoc meetings one-on-one here and there. There's been no scheduled meetings in anybody's district offices or, of course, in Albany. So it's very difficult to get a good read on what's happening other than meetings like this, but we are keeping a close eye on it. I don't have anything else that I can recall off the top of my head for Ledge.
Yeah, didn't want to put you on the spot, Tim, but seeing as Albie wasn't there, you usually have a pretty good handle on what's going on. Thanks for
I
your
appreciate
input.
that. My pleasure.
Anything on community paramedicine?
Yeah, I was looking at the numbers as our 911 vault. This
All
is
I
still
got is
Tim
a phone
Egan.
number.
This is still Tim Egan.
Tim Egan.
Egan,
Sorry, Tim,
E-G-A-N.
I've got a phone number and a picture for you, and it's confusing me to no end. Sorry. You're like in two different places on my screen.
I'll be sure not to do that again. I'll be sure not to do that again. Sorry about that. Okay, so as everybody's 911 volume dramatically increased, and we were more than double at one point, as I believe most people were, our community paramedicine volume stayed very steady until April, where it dropped off by more than 50%. And in this month, it's even less. So I'm not really sure what the correlation there is, but I can tell you that we've done well over 500 community paramedicine visits year to date. So our program is still going strong on one side of the county. The other side is pretty much dropped off. But other than that, I don't really have much to talk about with community paramedicine. We're still keeping our program intact and moving forward.
Thank you. Awards committee, can anybody give a report for Kim?
Well, I can tell you that the awards have been pushed back by the state and therefore pushed back by us, and awards are due in the office by the 1st of June. We hope to have them shortly. We do have Orange County has submitted theirs. I don't believe anybody else has at this point. So I know there are some people working on them, but the sooner you get them into us, the better we'll be. And we'd like to see everybody. It's been a busy time, and we understand that, but we really need to recognize the people that are out there every day.
Dutchess County will be submitting theirs this week.
Okay, thank you.
That was Sharon Frazier there.
Thank you.
All right. Nominating committee report.
Dee, you're on mute.
Dee, you're on mute. There you go.
There you go. Start over.
Start over again?
Yeah, start all over. You're on mute the whole time.
Oh.
Nope, you're on mute again. Dee, you're on mute again. There you are. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay. We got together and I made a lot of phone calls and sent some emails out to the committee. And our slate of officers for this upcoming year would be President Dave Grass, Vice President Rich Paris, Treasurer Denise Montana, Secretary Nick Trio. I don't know if you want to open the floor to any additional nominations or go with this group of 4 people.
Okay, that's your report. We'll open up the floor under new business for any more nominations and then elections.
Okay.
Okay, thanks for your report. All right, Dave, state council, but nothing there, right?
Nary a thing.
Nothing. All right. Sharon, anything on the Hudson Valley EMS Directions and Leadership Committee?
No, unfortunately, we have not. But I'm sure we'll be getting back into the swing of things real soon.
Okay. All right. Expiring delegates. For Ulster County, myself and Dot Balin expire in June. Rockland, Tim Egan and Teresa Hamilton expire in June. For Orange County, Ben Conquest and Frank Casanite expire. And for Sullivan County, Mike Bruce and Mark Strauss. And for Putnam County, Matt Bundy. So the region needs letters either reappointing those folks or their replacements.
Rich, Tim Mitzel.
Yes.
So Ulster County, we're tracking that. Last week we had set up a meeting. We're going to meet on the 4th of June, and the next day the governor extended the order. So we are tracking that. We will get that resolved prior to June 30th when it expires.
Okay, thank you. All right, so anything else under old business? If not, then Dee, it's all yours.
Under new business,
Yep.
I present the slate of officers with Dave Grass as president, Rich Parrish as vice president, Denise Montana as treasurer, and Nick Trio as secretary. If there are any nominations from the floor, would you please let me know? I'm going to ask any other further nominations from the floor? Any further nominations from the floor? I need a motion to accept these officers for the upcoming term. And as the secretary can cast one ballot.
I'll make the motion. Israel Nabla.
So moved.
Who's the second?
Glenn.
Glenn Albin. All right,
Okay.
all in favor?
Aye. Be second.
Aye.
Any,
Aye.
any negatives?
Aye.
All right, okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for your support. It's been a good run for me. I've enjoyed working with you. I'm not going anywhere. Be the support for Dave and work in the background. So, thanks. It's been a good group to work with.
Rick, I just want to thank you for your leadership because when I first started coming to council, it was good to see a familiar face because I didn't really know too many of the others at that time. So it was really good to see you there and heading us. Thank you for your time.
It's something I've enjoyed doing. All right, couple things before we move on. Bill talked about the awards. Guys, come on, you know. This is our opportunity to recognize our cohorts, and you know, let's not let this pass. Right? This has given us a lot of exposure. People that didn't know what EMS was, you know, we're out there. Sorry to say, folks passing away. It's been hitting the major news, but people still don't know that we're not an essential service, that, you know, we're not mandated to be there. Yeah, one of the things, and I brought this up at the EMS task force, is we got to find a way to build on this. Yeah,
I think
our name is out there, and hopefully people now realize who we are and what we're doing. And we've got to come up with a way to build on this and get EMS the recognition it deserves.
Just as a comment, we've built a lot of goodwill up, because we were responding, doing what we needed to do. This is Glenn Allen, by the way.
Yep.
We definitely need to get the essential service designation. I don't know how they're going to do it, but we need to get that. Counties and towns and villages need to understand that they need to fund us as an essential service so that when pandemics, floods, natural disasters, whatever you want to call it, come by in their communities, there is an essential service known as EMS that is going to respond to that disaster and to a pandemic.
Essential services, the front lines of healthcare. Yeah.
And this is Dee again. I have been doing this for over 45 years, and I will say this. My neighbors will call me on the phone, or they'll stop by the house and say, is this something I need to go and get checked out? And, you give them some advice. And then the thing of it is, then your neighbors and people that you don't know and have never met before from an auto accident. I mean, we're the ones who are making sure that they get their treatment, they get transported, and we also give them, some TLC, because let's face it, having an auto accident, if you've ever had one, you kind of really need somebody who's going to be understanding and not holding back. And the thing is I think it should be an essential service. Now, is the Onion Group working on, I know in the past they were working on this. Are they still working on it?
Well, we have discussed it, but the only legislative priority we have right now is retaining funding. I know that HVREMSCO took it up. Dave, was that last year or the year before? Last year, right? And if I recall, there was a discussion at CMAC at which they let it go or did not pursue it. Do you recall that conversation?
Yes, that's correct. That's exactly what happened. They were concerned that if EMS became an essential service, that they would then have to definitively provide that service to every area in the state, and they didn't think that was necessarily possible, or that it would be difficult to try and make sure that that happened, and that was concerning to a number of people. Not to say that it's not happening, but that was one of the concerns that came up, and they ended up letting that go.
The disconnect I had with that argument, though, was how would CMAC or HVREMSCO be required to provide that? That would be up to local municipalities. This is a home rule state.
Yeah, I think it was from the medical directors of all of those variety of agencies and regions that were concerned that some of those areas may not be able to accommodate that particular situation.
And I think the argument that I've heard, at least in individual conversations with legislators, is if you get that essential service label, what exactly does that mean? Does that mean who, in other words, it always ties back to money. So who has to pay for that? Who's going to pay for that? Now, I can tell you, speaking as a city mayor, I have no issue with that. I would step up as a village and say, yeah, we have to pay for that if our local community service couldn't do that, and the captain's on this call as well, simply because I get it. But I don't know that a lot of local leaders understand that as well as we all do sitting on this council. So I guess that comes down to education. But personally, I'm behind the... Sorry, somebody's coming in my house. I'm behind the essential service label. I know that Albie is also. And if and when we do get a legislative agenda together at the Onion level, I'm sure we'll be discussing it again. It does come up every year when we set our legislative priorities, I can tell you that.
My suggestion is, talk to your county, your local supervisors. They've got to be on board, because one of the things that I sit on because of COVID, I sit on a county phone call every morning. And some of these supervisors, their comments about, well, how am I going to get an ambulance there to do this? And I'm sending so-and-so to this ambulance. And they have no idea what the ambulance service in their town actually does for them. And we've got to start educating them at the local level and build it up to the county level.
That's,
I could tell you this,
I'm
Rich.
sorry. Go ahead, Tim,
I
I'm
was
sorry.
just going to say that I could tell you this, Rich, that if the local leaders are not mandated, if their feet are not held to the fire to fund EMS, they're not going to do it. You know, we're very fortunate in Rockland County to have local municipal funding, but I live in Orange County, as do a lot of other people here, and you know, very few municipalities are willing to step up and fund EMS. And I think personally, partly because they're not mandated to, their feet are not held to the fire to do that, and maybe that's what needs to happen. That's one of the reasons why I'm behind essential service.
This point was one of the major findings in the Dutchess County EMS Task Force that was done a number of years ago, and on to the regional task force, where the local leaders truly that are not involved just do not understand what it is. And that's one of the continued findings that's in the literature, that it's incumbent on us to really make sure that those folks do understand what this is, what it means, and what it would look like with and without these services in place.
Okay, that's my parting speech about, you know, where I think we should be headed. I think that, like, the EMS task force, it's got a lot of good people sitting there, and it's heading in the right direction. I would like to see something built off of that if possible. All right. So, if anything else to come forward?
Rich, if I might.
Yes.
Dave Grass here. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for your vote of confidence. I'd also like to acknowledge, as has been done before, the leadership that we've had inside the council with Rich's part. He made it very clear that he's going to be there as a backbone and a foundation to make sure that I don't stumble and fall as I move on through this endeavor, but I do appreciate everybody's vote of confidence. I'll try and keep up the high standards that have been set before it. Equally, I'd like to remind those that are on the call now, as you go back to your individual county councils, that last meeting, this committee and council voted to change your bylaws, which really wanted to hold the delegates and the alternates feet to helping out to make sure that the council is successful, and require them each to be on a committee and participate in that committee. So as those counties that Rich mentioned before have delegates that are expiring, I would implore you to go back and really think about, are those people participating? Are they an asset to your county? And are they an asset to the council? And please, if they are, approve them to come back. If not, maybe some fresh new blood to come back to the council, where we can get this wave of appreciation for EMS to continue on. And it's really done, as you've listened to David and the rest of them, through this collaboration of people working together to be able to move the minds of mayors and supervisors and council members as to how important EMS is. So I think it starts right here. So I would encourage you to, get your delegates and your alternates to participate in these committees, and let's make it the best it can be. Thank you.
And again, going back to the task force, there was a group of folks there that saw an issue. They jumped on it. They started moving it forward. They invited law enforcement. Law enforcement, the folks that came to it, were very appreciative of being part of that group, and they had no idea what our exposures were, and now they do. So, we've got to reach out and educate folks. A lot of people don't understand what we do. And I think the task force is an example of what this council can do. There's a lot of good resources here. People got to get involved.
This is Sharon Fraser. I have a couple of things. Can I jump in?
Sure, it's all yours, Sharon.
All right. So I want to talk about the webinars that we've just recently had. Rich had one over at Health Alliance, and we held one last night from Mid-Hudson. And the physicians group Envision that Dr. Papish is from set that up for us, and it went very well. Rich had a little over 50. I was a little over 20. We were hoping for more, but we didn't get it. That's okay, maybe next time. So I wanted to talk to you guys and just see if this is something that we can continue to pursue, or would you prefer as a region that we go back to the face-to-face CME type setup?
Well, my opinion right now, and Steve Sagendorf, I think right now, I think the webinar is what's going to work because we can't get together. We can't get groups of people into the same room without having 6 feet between us. The
Yes.
webinars actually work really good for me. And the thing it is because I don't always have a chance to go someplace. That last one that Rich did on the COVID with Dr. Mador, I wrote Rich back. It was an excellent program. She knew her stuff, and I learned so much more about that disease. And but I think the webinars are a way for people to get there rather than come to a group of people. When all this stuff passes and goes by, and we can get back together, that's good, because that way we get to see a lot of our friends in person. But the other thing too is that right for now, I think the webinar is the way we have to go.
The GoToWebinar that we hosted, I used GoToWebinar. I was very impressed with that program. You pre-registered. At the end of it, I got a report back. If you put your screen in minimal, it logged it. I knew if you stayed there for the whole 92 minutes or if you only stayed on for 40 minutes. Very impressed with it. And the report it generated, I didn't have to generate any extra paperwork. I sent it to Karen, and Karen had everything she needed to do it. And I think that in the future, yeah, I'm going to, when possible, do stand-ups, but also do the GoToWebinar, because I had people there from Westchester, Grahamsville, people that would not have driven to Kingston. I think that's the plus of it.
Hey, Rich, when you're going to do a stand-up, let me know. I'd like to go to that. Sharon, I think it's a good mix to do both. And for the people that are able to get there, that's great for some of that face-to-face time. And as Rich and others have said, you know, if you can't make it out, you can't get there, your schedules just conflict where you can't drive however long, having it available on a webinar works really, really well also.
Yeah. And the presentation is recorded, so they're able to retrieve that if they want to share it with a group or, you know, pass the education on. It worked out really well. I thought it was a great choice than nothing, you know. The other thing I wanted to talk about was Dutchess County EMS Council wanted to do something for our EMS providers. With everything going on, we wanted to kind of recognize them, trying to bounce things off, and we came up with designing an EMS provider t-shirt from the county. What we did is had one of our members' daughter actually designed it, and then got in touch with a t-shirt company, and we've got it available for order. If anybody's interested, it says Dutchess County Council on the front, and then it's got a really nice kind of thing on the back for the EMS providers. So if anybody's interested, please reach out to me. I can get your name and put in an order for you, or whatever you'd like to do. I was going to try to share the picture of the shirts tonight, but I couldn't get it.
Thank you, Sharon.
You're welcome.
All right, if nothing else.
Rich, can I interrupt you for 1 minute?
Sure.
I just want to offer to anybody that's out there, if they're having a problem getting a video conference together, or they need our help in any way, or if we can set it up for you so that you can have the meeting that you need to have, get in touch with us. We'll work with you, or we'll sponsor it for you. So, you know, I just want to let you know that we're here. If you need that type of technology, we can help you with it. That's all. Thank you.
And it's obvious, you know, they know what they're doing. They set this up. This is, I think, one of our better organized meetings, not a lot of background noise, and hopefully, I believe it's Yvonne, you know, could catch everything that you needed. She's not saying anything. She's just sitting there shaking her head.
We'll see later. We'll see later, Rich, after I
Okay.
go through the transcript.
But yeah, I think everything went well tonight. Hopefully, if you have any other comments about it, send it to Bill or myself. If not, nothing else come forward. There's a motion in order.
Rich, I'd just like to say thanks for all your time and effort over the years. We all really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
And Rich, Neil up here in Sullivan County. Albie wasn't on there tonight now, like, because we did a little
I'm
celebration up
sorry.
here.
I'm sorry. I couldn't hear your name.
Neil Meadow.
Neil. Okay. Go ahead, Neil.
They did a celebration at the government center here, basically highlighting EMS week with the EMS. We had all the trucks there, EMS trucks all over the place. So keep an eye on the Spectrum News tonight. You might see a little bit of what went on. We got a little bit happening.
Nice.
That's all I have.
That's good. And guys, thanks for the kind words. This is something this is my passion. So I enjoy what I do. Thanks for your support. And again, who's making that motion?
That'll be me. Motion to adjourn.
David, second?
Second, Israel Knobloch.
All righty, guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
Happy EMS week.
Have a good week.
Thank you all.
I know.
Thank you.
Have a good one.